Good morning, Green Spring. Today is Thursday, May the 5th, 2016. And today we're going to be talking with Michel Margosis. He's a pioneer at Green Spring, having moved into Parkview in December '98. He's well known in the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and he's been a volunteer there since it opened in 1993. He's also been the driving force in calling for a Holocaust Remembrance Day in Fairfax County that begins Wednesday, May the 4th at sunset and ends Thursday, May the 5th, today at sunset. Today, we will learn a little bit more about Michel. Michel, before we get into your life, though, I'd like to hear a little bit about your dad, because he went from Odessa in Ukraine. He was banished to Siberia, and he was able to escape and get back to Palestine. Do you have any recollection? Well, did he ever tell you the story about that?
He never told me the story. He wrote a booklet about it. Because he became a newspaper man. He did not explain what he did, how he did it. He just mentioned all the places he went through by foot. And he ended up in Palestine.
So he walked all the way from Siberia to Palestine.
I think it was El Gulag in Kazakhstan.
Yeah. That must have been 4,000 or 5,000 miles.
Long
walk.
Right.
All right. Well, you were born in Belgium, though. So your dad married your mother where, in the Ukraine or in Palestine?
In Ukraine.
In the Ukraine?
Odessa.
Okay.
And then my siblings were born in Persia.
Were they married then before he was banished to Siberia?
Yes.
Okay.
He escaped to Persia and became a Persian citizen. And my siblings were born there. Okay. Then after my sister's problems with polio, he was stranded in Belgium, and I was born there.
Okay. So you were born when, about 1920?
1928.
28? Okay. All right. Well, would you tell us a little bit about your early life in Belgium? So you were there in Belgium, born 28, and Hitler took over. So let's talk about, can you remember prior to, back in the good days, I would think?
Well, yeah. I went through school there, elementary school, and I did everything that kids do.
Yeah.
Tried to play hooky once in a while, sneak into movies, or go shopping without money.
Well, how did your dad make a living in Belgium?
He became a newspaper man.
Okay, so was he on a newspaper? Or?
He did write occasionally, but we also had a store selling newspapers and sundries, cigarettes, until he was able eventually to get 2 newspapers himself.
Oh, so he was a publisher too.
So he was also a publisher.
What kind of papers were they?
There were weeklies. The first one was in Yiddish, and the second one was in French.
So the first one is mostly for the Jewish community, or both of them?
Both of them probably for the Jewish community.
Okay. Well, were any of his newspapers controversial, or were they just plain news?
Reporting the news could be controversial, especially when he wrote against Hitler when he shot up in 1933.
So he was very vocal against Hitler.
He was very vocal in his editorials.
Well, when did they first begin to worry about Hitler? Do you remember? Have any idea?
I remember singing about him, nasty songs about him. But we weren't. I was a kid.
So that was in the mid-30s. You were probably 5 or 6 years old.
Well,
or even earlier, huh?
Yeah, 1928. When I was 6, I started elementary school.
Okay, well then, when Hitler began the invasion of France through Belgium, that's when you all began to get really concerned and got out of...
when Hitler invaded Poland,
okay,
that was September 1st, 1939, France and England declared an ultimatum to Germany
Right.
on my birthday,
Was that right?
September 2nd. September 3rd, war started when France and England declared war on Germany. It was not much of a war at the beginning. That was just exchanging a few shells. But in May 1940, May 10th actually, Germany invaded the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. And within a few days, my father felt that he would probably be picked up in no time. We remembered what happened in 1914 when the Germans came through. And not that we remembered, but we knew about it.
Yes. All right. Then, did you get any encouragement from the Belgian people, any help from them to escape, or do you?
No way.
No way.
Nothing.
Okay. So, your dad and mom had to get you all out of Belgium, and I'm sure you started down through France. What did they do for money and food? You know, the reason I ask you that is, I think about all of the
Current refugees?
any refugees, and how they're able to get money or food, or if they have it at home and they're able to bring it. Do you know anything about that?
Well, when we took the train, it took 7 days and 7 nights to get to where we finally ended up, and food was given to us through the windows of the train.
Oh.
Once we got there, some government agencies provided for us. That provided one room with bunks.
Mm-hmm. So the people this was it Marseille or?
No, that came later.
Okay.
A small town about 70 kilometers south of Toulouse.
Toulouse, okay. And so the people there then took care of you.
The town, I wasn't in on how was it provided.
Yeah.
I know that food began to be becoming scarce. So I was able to go out. It was in the middle of the country. I was able to go out and fill myself up on grapes.
Oh, okay.
Well, country. All over France is a country of grapes.
So from Toulouse, you went to, you were there for about a year, was that?
We were there for a few months.
Yeah, a few months.
Then my parents had a friend who had a farm not too far away from there, so we went to the farm, but my father went to Portugal. Because he was a newspaper man, he had passports and visas to go.
But you all didn't?
We didn't. Yeah. Our passport had expired. We had a Persian passport. So he was able to go there feeling that he had a price on his head for what he wrote. And when the Germans came in, the Vichy government came into existence, and we were stranded in France, in that farm. From there, my mother decided that the farm is no way to get out of there. She thought that maybe some diplomats went to Marseille, maybe a Persian consul or ambassador might be there, but when we got there, everybody was gone. So we went into hiding in Marseille in the slums. And that's what happened.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about your mother and you and a brother and a sister, right? Yeah. Okay. She must have been very resourceful to be able to take care of you.
She was. Ration coupons were given out to citizens, but because we became illegal, our residency expired, so she went to black marketing.
Ah.
She was able to buy at a certain price and resell it at a much better price. The penalty for being caught would be hanging.
Was that right?
Yeah.
But still, she pursued that.
But we had no choice.
Yeah.
It's either die or give up.
Yeah.
I know that many friends were being picked up by the police.
Okay, so So she was able to take care of you in Marseille through selling black market goods, and then you had to split up. Is that right? At that time? No.
That came later.
Okay. What's next?
The Allied invaded North Africa in November 1942. American forces.
Okay.
And at that point, Marseille, that was not occupied, all the German troops came down.
Okay.
And at that point, my mother said, let's get the hell out of here.
So you had been in unoccupied France.
We were in unoccupied France.
And when
Vichy came in, they divided the country into occupied zone by the Atlantic coast, and the part in the south was unoccupied. Technically, it was unoccupied, but actually, they had many Germans there.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Not troops that we knew, but in November, the troops came down in force.
So when the U.S. then attacked North Africa, the Germans occupied the unoccupied France?
Right.
Okay, and that's when you all had to...
That's when my mother made enough money through marketing to buy false documents enabling us to travel within the country. And we got one that says we have to go to the mountains because my sister, who had polio, needed mountain air.
Okay.
So we went to the Pyrenees, we had dinner, and then we were accosted by two national policemen.
Spanish?
French.
French, okay.
French. They offered to take over the border for a little sum of money.
Oh, okay.
$10,000 each.
Oh, boy. She had made that much money?
She made money.
Boy.
So $40,000 for the whole family. We started at sundown, and we went over the mountains.
Okay, now you're in Spain, and you were able, or she was able to get you into a program, and your other siblings?
Well, we were arrested.
Okay.
So everybody was arrested except me. I was underage.
Okay.
So they sent me to an orphanage. Brother and sister arrested, my mother was arrested, my brother from jail was sent to a concentration camp in Spain. And that was, Spain just ended the war. Civil War was just over.
Yeah.
They still have lots of problems. And it was a fascist country too. It was an ally of Hitler. In fact, Franco was thinking of joining him.
Oh, okay.
But the landing in North Africa, I think, told them that you better not.
That might not be a smart idea.
Yeah. So we were provided by American agencies to support us in Spain.
Okay, so it was the American agencies in Spain
Right.
that allowed you all to...
The Joint Committee.
Okay. All right, well, what happened next?
We were released. We were allowed to stay in a hotel in a small town that set up several hotels for refugees. From there, we were able to go into subsidized renting in Barcelona, the biggest city in Spain. And we were living there for a while until my mother heard of that agency trying to help children to come to the States, under 16. My brother and sister were older, so they couldn't make it, but my mother signed me up, and off I went.
Excuse me.
We said goodbye, and that was it.
Tell me about that program. That sounds like how many people did we bring over under that program?
I don't know how many people.
Was it
actually? Many years later, somebody organized a group of kids who came here alone. Mm-hmm. And we were comparing it to the Kindertransport, which was a program to save children under 16 from Germany and Austria, 1939. that was by the British. America, the immigration laws in America were so strict they only allowed, in 12 years, from 1933, from Hitler's rise to the end of the war, they allowed only about 1,400 kids to come to this country.
Oh, gee.
I know some others who came on the same ship at different times.
Well, when you came over, how many came with you?
We had about a dozen that came from Barcelona. We stopped and took the train to Madrid, picked up another dozen or so, and then we went to Portugal to the ship.
Were they just Jewish kids, or were there kids of all different?
Mostly Jewish.
Mostly Jewish.
But I had one good friend who was not Jewish. We had a few.
Well, all right. Would you tell us a little bit about once you've gotten in the States? What was your life like then? What did they do for you?
Well, I came here. We landed in Philadelphia, and from Philadelphia immediately to New York, a place called the Bronx. It's at one of the boroughs. From there for a few days, then a cousin picked me up. First, one day she showed me Radio City Musical to impress me with America. But then I went to live with them.
Well, you had a cousin here. You knew
My
that.
father had an uncle.
Okay. And did you know them, or had you heard about them?
I knew we were in contact.
Okay. So you were able to make contact with them.
And then she picked me up to go live with them.
Okay.
For a few months, but then he couldn't afford me. That didn't pay much. The Foster Home Bureau of New York paid for it, and that couldn't afford me, so I went to a foster home for a few months until 1946.
Now it's 46. You're 18 years old, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I came in June 1943, June 22nd. September of that same year, I started high school. Didn't know any English.
Yeah.
I took all the courses, and I think I flunked all of them.
Okay.
Second year, I did better. I was already learned Shakespeare, and I did pretty well. I finally made it as an honor student in 3.5 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Great. So you graduated from high school in 3.5 years, or?
Right.
Okay, so this would be
January 47.
47. And then you went to college.
I applied to several colleges, but and I was accepted in all of them. There was one in Miami, University of Miami in Ohio, that I think of going. But because my parents had come here recently, I didn't want to leave them in New York. So I decided to stay in New York, and I went to Brooklyn College.
Okay.
Which was a good deal because it was free. I got a 4-year education there for nothing.
Is that right?
The city colleges in New York were free at the time.
Okay.
Now I have no idea what it costs now. I got my bachelor's. When I graduated from high school, I was thinking of going into journalism like my father was. Then I took a course in chemistry that changed my life.
Oh, is that right?
I decided to go into chemistry.
So then you continued to study chemistry?
When I went to college, I majored in chemistry.
Okay.
And I took French, thinking it may help me to boost my grades.
Yeah.
I didn't.
How many languages do you speak? Now, you've lived in Belgium and France.
Well,
and all that.
My parents spoke Yiddish to each other.
Okay.
I spoke Russian to the kids, and we kids spoke French. So, from France, when I went to Spain, I picked up Spanish, so that after 6 months in Spain, I was able to read Don Quixote de la Mancha in Spanish. Mm-hmm. Then I came here and I picked up a little English.
So, I presume at this stage in life you think in English.
I think so.
You know, because people who have different languages, they have to think usually in one, don't they?
I never thought of it, but occasionally I think of a word in French that I want to use in English.
That you have to translate.
So I look it up, and well, some words are better in 10 different languages.
Okay. All right. Well, after college, you went into the Army.
Well,
And
no. When I graduated,
Okay.
we had a party, and I got a phone call from the draft board saying if you get a job in chemistry, I can be deferred.
Okay.
So I got a job in chemistry, and I was deferred.
Okay.
And I worked for a while in the pharmaceutical companies, and then I decided that because I could speak Russian, the Army could use me. Because during the Cold War, I decided my work that I was doing was not that important. I didn't think it was important, so decided the Army may do better, so I enlisted.
Okay. Did you serve as an interpreter? Or?
Well,
No?
I took my 16 weeks of basic training applying for language school because I could not read nor write Russian, so I thought that would send me to school to do that. But after 16 weeks, I decided no. Everybody went to Far East to Korea, and I stayed behind waiting for my orders. Then the orders came and said, "You already speak French and Spanish. You're already the interpreter. Also a chemist." So the first ship that went out went to Europe.
Ah.
I ended up in Bremerhaven and then Zweibrücken in Germany. And I immediately went to my CEO and said, I escaped from this area. I don't want to stay here. Whatever happens, please get me out. I don't care where you send me.
Yeah.
Turkey, Korea, China, but not Germany. So they sent me to France.
Oh, okay.
No problem in France. I started as a chemical supply specialist. No, first one job as an interpreter, helping a local count to have a party for American troops. Then they didn't need me anymore, so I became a chemical supply specialist.
Okay.
Until I had the emergency call. My father fell sick, and I came home on emergency leave. My father had died by the time I got here.
Oh.
So after a month, I went back, and I served again as a chemical supply specialist for a little while until they needed a medic in the hospital in Verdun. And I applied, and I became a medic.